Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you. First of all, welcome or welcome back, depending on which one applies to you more appropriately. My name is Nick Combs. I'm the head of ceremonies and events here at Goldsmiths. That's my pain and pleasure to be responsible for organising what will hopefully be a very special evening for all of you. I'm a bit of a boring warm-up act, so I get to tell you some of the very boring nuts and bolts things before all the fun starts. So in a few minutes' time, we're going to be joined by our dignitaries and our platform party, at which point the musicians will welcome into Great Hall. I'll ask you all just to politely stand just for a few moments. And then once the Chair of Council, who sits in that big throne-like chair in the middle of the stage, once she's taken her seat, you'll be in her capable hands for the ceremony. And then you'll be having a number of welcomes and introductions and speeches. And then we get to probably the main part, which is obviously to celebrate the success of our graduates. So welcome back. It's probably not been that long since you've left, but welcome back again. Now, obviously, all of you will hopefully have been through to registration, so you've got your ticket, your golden ticket for the Great Hall. Now, you should all be allocated a very specific seat number, which you hopefully will all be sat in. Now, please put my mind at rest just to let me know that you're all sat in the exact seat that you should be given. You're not sitting with your best friend who you've liked for ages and you're having a better conversation with them tonight. You're sat in the exact seat we need you to be in. Now, come on, look, stand up, check, come on, put my mind at ease. I used to have a full head of hair when I started doing this job. It's all gone now. Cool. You're all good? You're not going to drive me mad? You're not going to give me a heart attack by being in the wrong seat? Fantastic. So, what's going to kind of happen? So, when the ceremony starts, we start reading your names alphabetically by your departments. You're all there from education this evening. And then it will be done by alphabetically by the title of your course and then your family name in that list. So, members of my team, who you would have met in registration earlier, will ask you to start gathering on the right-hand side of the stage as you look at it, and we'll get you up into that order. We're going to check your names at least 2 or 3 times just to make sure that everything goes right and your moment across the stage to meet the Chair of Council goes perfectly. When we read your name, you'll be stood here at the end. There'll be your name. There'll be a thunderous round of applause. You'll go and shake hands with the Chair of Council. You'll make your way down the opposite side of the hall, and then you'll see a small table there. That's got a copy of your transcript and also your HEAR certificate, so please take that with you as you come round. Then you do a lap of honour around the Great Hall. And where you are now, so for example, the guys in the front row, you go all the way around the back down here, and you go back to the exact same seat you sat in. Easy, isn't it? Now remember, you won't get your degree unless you get this right on the last time. So my colleagues and assessments are waiting to make sure they can verify that result. So, guests and parents and loved ones, you're all welcome to Goldsmiths. Maybe this is your first or maybe one of many visits here. We know that today is a very special event for you, and we also want you to be a part of today's ceremony as well. And obviously we know that you're going to here to kind of catch that special moment on your phone or whatever devices you've got. The only thing I do ask is that while you're trying to catch that special moment of your loved one going across the stage, just be a bit courteous and check with the people behind, because while you're trying to do that, you could be taking that special moment away from someone else, so please show a bit of courtesy. Now, during the ceremony, as the students start making their way up and doing a lap of honour, if anyone does need to take a comfort break, that's perfectly fine, but we might just need to refuse entry until the students are fully processed before letting guests back into the Great Hall. So if you do need to go before or after the student names are being read, that's not a problem, but there might be a pause as you come in at the end. At the very end of the ceremony, which is going to sound like it's a very, very long time away now, that you'll be, again, the platform party will stand, you'll be escorted out with processional music by musicians on the stage, and all of our platform party will exit the Great Hall by the centre aisle, and then they're all going to make their way out directly onto the College Green marquee via the corridor there. Graduates, when you leave, we'll ask you to leave 1 row at a time from the back, which is all part of the formal procession. When you do leave, please make your way directly to the marquee. Please don't wait in the corridor for a loved one unless you need the bathroom, because all you'll do is create a backlog in the corridor, which means your wonderful guests and parents, etc., won't be able to get out into the marquee until you've gone, so please wait for them out there as well. And guests as well, we want you to be part of the formal procession at the end of it, so we'll all ask you to leave 1 row or 2 rows at a time, so please make sure you've got your tickets for the marquee as well. I'm probably going to be one of many millions of people do this, but look, I hope you do have a wonderful evening, and I wish you all a very Merry Christmas. Thank you very much.
Good evening, and it gives me great pleasure to declare this ceremony for the presentation of graduates and for admission to the Honorary Fellowship of Goldsmiths College well and truly open. And a really warm welcome to you all. It's wonderful standing up there, everybody's standing, and we're all here on a cold winter's night to actually really celebrate and absolutely clap to the skies, all of you, for all your achievements. And we're going to really do that fully and properly and with gusto. I'm really wanting full audience participation on this from everybody. But particularly, I'd like to say, it's so wonderful. I woke up this morning and I thought, what a privilege to be able to celebrate all of these individual achievements and all of you who are going to go on to be our future leaders, because let's face it, these are rather troubled and troublesome times. And it's wonderful for us all to be together today, this whole community, because everybody here has actually contributed to the success. Obviously, no one more than all of you individually. But as a community, we can actually be here and see success and see that future. And I think sometimes in these times, it's very, very understandable that we start to focus on detail and to a large degree more and more on the self, be it nationally or be it individually. And of course, success of the self is important, but I think one of the great things about Goldsmiths, and perhaps the learning and the stimulation that you have had, is that actually we look at this through eyes which are broader than that. And this morning, because I actually live north of the river in Camden, not south of the river in New Cross, but I went past the Camden Council building, and it has this great mosaic which says, not just for self, but for all. And I think that's something that actually Goldsmiths, I hope, has engendered. And obviously tonight, dealing with all of you who are PGCE and education graduates, that's what you do. Your work is to give to all. Your work is to educate the next generations. Your work is to inspire. And in so doing, you really, really inspire all of us. So I just want to say thank you for that. And I would now like to call upon the warden of the college to deliver his address. Oh, and this is the second time I've done this, so I'm getting my bobbing up and down a bit wrong at the moment. Bear with, but I think I'm supposed to sit down and then Pat's supposed to get up.
I think you'll be really glad if I...
Oh, and you've got to sit down. So sorry. So sorry, forgive me. Forgive me, it's not a standing thong. We're allowed to sit down and celebrate all your achievements.
When you hear this speech, you'll be awfully glad you sat down. Chair, distinguished guests, parents, supporters, friends, welcome to Goldsmiths. Scholars, a very warm welcome back to college. When you get to be as old as I am, you worry an awful lot about forgetting things, forgetting lots of things. But rest assured of one thing, you will not forget today. This is one of those red letter days in your life that will be forever memorable. So take hundreds and hundreds of photographs. Develop some of them in an old-fashioned way. Cherish them, because believe me, in 40 years' time, you will look back and be greatly amused by the hairstyles and the outfits, the shoes, but you'll also feel a great sense of kinship sustained, because that bond that brings you together as fellow professionals, as graduates together, will stay with you, I promise. It probably doesn't seem all that long ago since you came into this hall for Welcome Week. Remember the nervousness? What is this, Richard? Hogwarts? What is this? What kind of a Harry Potter castle is this? I've been here 9 years, I still can't find my way around it. These rooms and their ways. But it does seem a little arcane, but that's part of the charm of the place, I guess. I hope you now feel that you're part of the Goldsmiths family, because that's how we feel of you. Like everyone who's ever been here, you've made your individual mark. You've left your own legacy. Our great Oscar winner, Steve McQueen, described his time here as one of experimentation and of finding himself. I hope that your time at Goldsmiths has been a similar journey of self-discovery. During the course of today, this evening, with all the fun and all the hat throwing and jollity, take a little quiet time to think about who you've found. That person that has evolved while here, because you are in many significant ways different to the person that came here in the first place. You've been through a lot of experiences. Do you remember those dark nights of the soul when you thought you were uniquely stupid in your group? That you were the only one who could not do that essay, you had no idea what these people on stage were talking about, that you were somehow challenged? Do you remember those nights? You came through them. You overcame that, and here you are, soon to have a certificate to prove that you've come through. I think that's one of the most valuable lessons we can pass on to you. Stick at it, work hard, believe in yourself, and you come good. David Bowie, that great character, said, "Tomorrow belongs to those who can see it coming." I know that Goldsmiths graduates have the vision to see what's coming down the road and the sense of purpose to do something about it. You are, as our chair has said, emerging into a tilted, strange world, but you really are equipped to do something about it. Take advantage of where we are now and make a positive change. My God, the world needs that. And if we ever needed great teachers, great educators, great mentors, boy, do we need it now. So be very proud of the caring profession you've chosen, as I did a long, long time ago. I don't think Judy Garland gets quoted enough on these occasions, so I'm going to quote her now. She said something that I hold dear. Always be a first-rate version of yourself instead of a second-rate version of somebody else. Does that make sense? You are a unique combustion of talents, of genes, of experience, of background. There's only the one and only you. Ever before, ever forward. Use your uniqueness with gusto and confidence, because that is special. So look back with pride and look forward with confidence. You're now part of a community of 60,000 right around the world. It's a community that's bound by one precious experience. You've all learned, explored, and grown during your time here at Goldsmiths. You're part of a remarkable group of people, which includes some of the world's greatest educators, thinkers, artists, musicians, performers. Linton Kwesi Johnson, Bridget Riley, Sam Taylor Johnson, James Blake, Laurie Provost. Our alumni, often I attend events where heads of universities speak about their mission statement and their vision and what the place is for in very similar language. I don't really need to do that at all. I just need to recite the names of the people who've been here. That speaks of the values and the power and the compassion of this place. Our scholars have won Ivor Novellos, Emmys, BAFTAs, Olympic medals, Mercury prizes, as well as Academy Awards. I know that in days to come, my successors will be reading out some of your names on that list. Make sure it's you. Like you, all of those previous graduates gathered in this extraordinary space where about 150 years ago, young men who hoped to become naval officers paraded in what was then an open quadrangle of the Royal Naval School. Prince Albert himself, husband of Queen Victoria, of course, laid the foundation stone in 1843. This great hall was created when it was roofed over in 1891 and purchased by the philanthropic Goldsmiths Company. Their idea was to bring higher education to one of London's poorest boroughs. That ambition remains valid today. Most high-end research-based universities like Goldsmiths are located in leafy squares in the shade of a cathedral or two, or maybe cosseted away on a lush greenfield site. New Cross isn't like that. This is no privileged museum or enclave. As the Blur bass player, who was here, of course, Alex James, said, this place has more to do with screaming tires than dreaming spires. We profoundly benefit from being in the heart of one of London's most dynamic, diverse, and modern communities. We trust we bring benefits to that community, and we know we gain a very great deal from being here. Our new art gallery, the Goldsmiths Centre for Contemporary Art, is winning global acclaim. But we're most proud of the fact that we're helping put Lewisham on the map by bringing brilliant art to New Cross with free exhibitions for all. We've been very good at sending practitioners out into the world. We thought it was time we closed the circle, bringing great creatives into Goldsmiths to help further and enrich our community. Then there's the Curzon Cinema at Goldsmiths. At the moment, they're showing this ceremony. Time to wave, guys. It's one of the most important screenings of the year, of course. This very hall has hosted many concerts over the years. From, I'll speak now to this side of the room, the rock gods of the 70s all played this gig. We're all here. Last week, we had Christmas carols. The full range of institutional life is here. It's also been the scene for less jovial occasions. Many of you will have sat nervously in this room a few months ago, faced with the final exam paper. Remember that? You made it. There are many things to love about Goldsmiths, but when I talk to our staff, they always provide the same answer. What sets us apart is you, the students. We are also very proud of your achievements. Michael Rosen, our professor in children's literature, uses a Yiddish word to talk about his work at Goldsmiths. He says he cavels, he meaning swells with pride when he meets each new group of students here. Today is a day to reflect with pride on the achievements of the community across Goldsmiths. The departments here today give us ample examples of the spirit of this place. In design, our academics have been creating DIY kits which let you use your mobile phone to monitor the nature in your own back garden. And in educational studies, which I often regard as a parent department of Goldsmiths, in educational studies we are truly playing it forward. Recently, we renamed your building after Margaret Macmillan, and I know so many of our graduates go into classrooms with her beliefs and her values as a starting principle. Tonight's esteemed honorand, Estelle Morris, is also someone who adheres to the Macmillan principles of learning, both as a classroom teacher, as a member of Parliament, now a member of the House of Lords, and as a government minister. As our previous chair here in Goldsmiths, she has dedicated her life to education and the benefits that learning can bring to everyone, not just the few. Today also gives us a chance to celebrate the professional services staff who support our students, including those who work around the clock to ensure that well-being help is in place at any time of the day or night. Our thanks go to those silent heroes of Goldsmiths. As you start the next chapter of your life, please remember that you will always be part of this community. As I said earlier, Goldsmiths will always be a home for you. There is much support available, and you can continue to use the library, that haven of happiness. And if you if you need any support with our career advice, the career service is here too. Each year we are doing more and more to ensure that our alumni feel part of Goldsmiths wherever in the world they are. Our Alumni Ambassador program goes from strength to strength, reuniting alumni from Sao Paulo to Tokyo. If we can't meet each other in person going forward in this wonderful technological age, virtual communities are really important. You have a network of high-achieving, powerful contemporaries. That's a cohort of friends that will be incredibly valuable to you in every sense of the word valuable in years to come. Make sure you maintain those WhatsApp groups. Make sure you maintain the sense of solidarity you've got, because apart from being really important to you as an individual, they're important in your career as well. So, let me finish where I started, congratulating you for your many achievements. And we keep saying to you how much hard work it's taken for you to be here. Yet everyone on stage and on that side of the room know that you've also been a lot of hard work. Do you remember those frantic phone calls? Desperate anxiety? Food parcels sent? Well, I'd like you now, please, to be noisy, raucous, foot stomping, stand up and thank all of your families and supporters and our teaching staff here on stage. Thank them for all they've done for you, please. Louder! You're still a bit modest, but we'll get that out of you as the evening wears on. Don't worry, all of the rest of the applause is exclusively for you. Be very proud. You're joining a wonderful, world-changing profession, and you bring with you a value system that will see you through whatever the challenge is. We're awfully proud of you, and we hope you have a wonderful evening. Thank you very, very much indeed.
I now call upon Miss Maggie Pitfield, Department of Educational Studies, to present successful students of the college.
Chair, in the name of the University and the Academic Board, I present to you the following members of the College who have been admitted to degrees of the University. Bachelor of Arts in Education, Culture and Society, Afsana Chowdhury. Hannah Mohammed Ibrahim. Orly Joseph. Christopher Knight. Tina Malata. Joyce Adjua Owusu. Master of Arts in Artists, Teachers and Contemporary Practices, Sandra Archer. Sharon Elizabeth Wales. Master of Arts in Children's Literature, Tessa Bailey. Richard Charlesworth. Anna Coy. Joanna de Geyer. Alice Feldwick. Caitlin Gabe Jones. Helen Green. Emily Harris. Vicky Alexandra Hill. Annie Hochheiser. Holly Houghton. Andrew Ernest James. Laura Jamila Duke. Carla Ann Jones. Saffron Kumbas. Marta Peyoto Lima Patricio Alvarez. Anna Spatzkowska. Dana Wahab. Master of Arts in Children's Literature, Children's Illustration, Patricia Barrado da Vega. Javiera Huxley. Huang An Trin. Master of Arts in Creative Writing and Education, Catherine McMahon. Vanessa Karen Palmer. Sarah Elizabeth Verdi. Master of Arts in Education, Culture, Language and Identity, Sarah Crawford. Oliver Dentiff. Karina Fartek. Phoebe Jemima Grimpick Drayton. Shna Ibrahim. Joanne McVeigh. Ibtihaj Mohammed. Jocelyn Perot. Tipaya Pungyalan Kul. Naomi Seal. Laura Marie Yandel. Postgraduate Certificate in Education, Primary with SEN School Direct, Kellyanne Gale. Postgraduate Certificate in Education, Chemistry, age ranges 11 to 18. Catherine Mary Ainsworth. Benjamin David Betts. Postgraduate Certificate in Education, Design and Technology, age ranges 11 to 18. Samantha Ann Coombs. Rojda Guzel. Smitha Shankar Narayan. Postgraduate Certificate in Education, Early Years Primary School Direct, Liam Jacob Ball. Cherry Boyce. Sharika Cottle. Yolanda Croit-Oriel. Postgraduate Certificate in Education, French, age ranges 11 to 18. Naomi Francis. Postgraduate Certificate in Education, Primary. Tamsin Ann Banfield. Gary Herman Barrett. Nadia Begum. James Bromley. Stephanie Ann Brown. Rosalind Brunning. Catherine Margaret Daisy Brunt. Olivia Carroll. Alison Mary Dwyer. Sophie Lee Finch. Orna Foley. Maria Louise Gilmore. Zail Hassan. Diane Veronica Jordan. Naima Khanom. Rohima Khanom. Catherine Knott. Monique Elena Lee. Naomi Kiaketa Lukweza. Chloe Beatrice Martin. Katra Mohammed. Teresa Ajua Ajay Nimo. Jane Owusu. Anisha Pravin Patel. Joshna Patel. Jessica May Hope Rich. Julie Elizabeth Roll. Jessica Samuels. Ruby Shepherd. Honorio Andre Souza Rodriguez. Memuna Wasim. Hannah Woodley. Laura Catherine Woods. Postgraduate Certificate in Education, Primary Modern Languages. Deborah Dorothy Maxine Musgrove. Daniel David Piccola. Grace Toogood. Samira Welsh. Postgraduate Certificate in Education, Primary Non-QTS. Kerry Rhian Gage. Jenny McGovern. Jose Oswaldo Nieto Armas. Samin Sultan Rana. Viola Sila. Beth Toos. Callum Bede Miga Wilson. Postgraduate Certificate in Education, Primary School Direct. Marilyn Susan Amato. William George Anthony Bray. Gemma Georgina Perry Brooks. Helen Brown. Anna Mairead Cagney. Taylor Rihanna Rose Chapman. Simon Clark. Katie Francis Melanie Cleanthus. Megan Rose Collier. Emily Charlotte Cook. Stephanie Elise Coulston. Matthew Deacon. Malcolm Dean. Kira Mary Teresa Dempsey. Shana Duran Quadros, Charlotte Gibbons, Natasha Louise Gray, Faye Higgett, Adam Charles Jones, Manjit Kaur, Rachel Alexandra Grace Kerr, Peter Kiln, Tatiana Letsema Granyon, Gift Odubanjo, Olivia Parascandolo, Kate Louise Peters, Leanne Porter, Chanel Natasha Sellers, Natasha Gayanthri Suthasan, Layla Uba, Postgraduate Certificate in Education, Secondary, Rian Ahmed, Shakib Ahmadi, Anna Sophia Araujo, Anne Arkinstall, Shiman Audi, Jenny Bainbridge, Masuma Barry, Shapla Begum, Noreen Ben Mesaoud Lamine, Grace Angarad Bentley Leake, Stephanie Biggs, Holly Bird, Mary Louise Burleton, Chloe Charles, Asma Jamil Chowdhury, Laura Margaret Collette, Taja Ray Costigan, Marionwen Teresa Donaldson, Victoria Fernandez, Savannah Garcia, Amy Rose Garcia Brooks, Viviana Giandrini, Camille Girardo, Pei-Chun Han, Eleanor Kate Hilton, Stephen Kabaka, Leonidas Castis, Shida Coker, Laura Deirdre McLean, Vesna Nikolovska, Nelima Noor, Roisin Miriam O'Gorman, Kirsten Jade Pollard O'Hara, Laura Rodriguez Aguayo, Aisha Saeed, Steny Elsa Christine Salvo et Fereb, Imogen Nielsen Seymour Spicer, Alison Meihui Tang, Hamid Ali Traore, Emma Jane Morenika Vickers, Rebecca Lee Waghorn, Samira Wasami, Alana Webb, Erin Willis, Shakiria Yaqub, Postgraduate Certificate in Education, Secondary, Design and Technology, Habibi Akbiyik, Hasina Akhtar, Helen Francis Barwick, Sonia Belhaj, Imogen Alice Hedges, Yasmin Hussain, Emily Elizabeth Hutton, Carla Danielle Knight, Melika Matzi, Alicia Plummer, Lauren Lucy Louise Price, Postgraduate Certificate in Education, Secondary Non-QTS, Aaron Matthew Sunday Ayodele Bartlett, Tiffany Sarah Ann Gunston, Haroon Rashid Kijozi Nteji, Amelie Martha Jolice Picard, Naveen Salem, Josephine Barbara Emmeline Sams, Himanshu Kumar Sridhar Vaishampayan, Postgraduate Certificate in Education, Secondary School Direct, Claudia Louise Allen, Nadina Kimberly Cameron, Mohammed Adam El Omrani, Farheen Imtiaz Godiwala, Catherine Alice Irwin, Ankita Mishra, Professional Graduate Certificate in Education, Secondary, George Pierce, Remaya Nathana Rameshwara, Stephanie Epps, Jeremy Kent, Professional Graduate Certificate in Education, Secondary, Design and Technology, Tejinder Kaur Kera. Professional Graduate in Education, Primary, Jin Hyuk Huang. Professional Graduate in Education, Secondary, Farhana Tasnim Ali. Muna Konise Goma. Professional Graduate Certificate in Education, Primary School Direct, Elizabeth Cole. Postgraduate Certificate in Education, Secondary, Fiona Howe. Postgraduate Certificate in Education, Primary, Louise Mensa.
So I now call upon the Warden of the College to present students who've been admitted to research degrees of the university.
Chair, in the name of the university and of the academic board, I present to you the following members of the college who have been admitted to research degrees of the university. These are the highest degrees we award on these occasions, so special applause. Yeah. For the degree of Doctor of Philosophy, and from the Department of Educational Studies, for a thesis entitled What Informs Success for African Caribbean Black British Girls and Their Mothers in the Final Year of Primary School, Deborah Sangster. You're doing very well. For a thesis entitled An Ethnographic Investigation of Kurdish Preschool Children Learning Turkish Language and Literacy in Turkey, İskender Jalil.
So I now call upon Tipaya Pengjalanku, who is the student orator from the Department of Educational Studies, to speak on behalf of the graduating student body of 2008, and we look forward to it.
Chair of Council, Warden and staff of Goldsmiths, honorable guests, parents, guardians, friends, and sponsors, I am honored to stand before you on behalf of all the students graduating today. No more long nights working in the library, no more deadlines, and no more anxious moment waiting for the grades to come out. How amazing do you feel? I feel wonderful, and it's such a relief. Graduation might mean one of the biggest achievements or a success for some people. What about you? Success is defined differently, depends on which society you belong. For me, I am from a place where I have always been told that if I want to be successful, I cannot be different. I have to conform with the social norms. So to graduate from a notable university like Goldsmiths is considered as a privilege and the only pathway to success. Well, making my decision to pursue a study here was actually a very difficult task, but the one that I would never, ever regret. After a year spent at this university, I realized that there's more to my life than just an academic success. So please allow me to share with you what I have learned and believe we all have learned from this amazing university. We have been taught not only on essential skills to advance on our career, but we also have been taught that success means fulfilling our unique personal potential. Look around us, please look to your friends, and you can see that Goldsmiths is a place where diversity is embraced, where all opinions are welcome, and where creativity is celebrated. We have always been encouraged to do what we love, to let the passion take the lead, and to aspire to become just the best version of us. More importantly, we have been inspired to think beyond ourselves, to see that our unique talents and energy can make a positive impact on our society, and we shouldn't neglect others. Congratulations, we graduated. Today, we have become fully ourselves. We are well equipped with both knowledge and skills. Consequently, I believe we have a responsibility to use what we have learned to serve a society, to make it better. We shouldn't only strive to live in just a happy and just a comfortable life. That's not the real success. We should aim to contribute to the development of our society so we and our friends could live together in a great place. Goldsmiths teaches us to be a global citizen who strive to be a quality resource of the world. As Winston Churchill once said, we make a living by what we get. We make a life by what we give. Graduation day, today, marks the last day that we share with our friends and professors. Of course, it is filled with loads of emotion, happy yet sad, relief yet worried, and the feelings will seep in. But later, as the day concludes, you might wish it would never end. I am leaving this great hall today with the well of experience I will forever treasure. Studying here has been such an incredible experience. But without the support from all parties, this would not be possible. Therefore, our sincere thanks go to all the faculty members for challenging our old and embracing our new ideas. Thanks for helping us to create the knowledge of the future. We would also like to thank all the Goldsmiths staff for assisting us with every matter we had. Finally, I would like to thank all of you, my fellow graduates, for being unique. Your differences have inspired me in every day. Your differences have made my experience here at Goldsmiths become even more memorable. Please always keep in mind that we are such a perfect difference, and the world needs all of us to move around. Please continue to be your unique self and the inspirations for others. We might not be able to inspire the whole world or change every single thing, but my challenge to each of you and to myself is to do all that we can to the best of our potential. Once again, congratulations, class of 2018, and I am Tipaya Bunjalerngul from Thailand.
Was wonderful. Now, I call upon Professor Alan Downey, the College Orator, to present for admission to the Honorary Fellowship of Goldsmiths College, Baroness Estelle Morris of Yardley.
Chair of Council, I present to you the Right Honourable the Baroness Morris of Yardley for admission to the Honorary Fellowship of Goldsmiths College. After a lengthy career as a teacher of social sciences and humanities at the inner city Sydney Stringer School in Coventry, in 1992 she was elected Member of Parliament for Birmingham Yardley. After the Labour Party formed a government, on winning the general election in 1997, she became School Standards Minister in the Department for Education and Employment before being promoted in 2001 to the position of Secretary of State for Education and Skills. When she stepped down, 16 months later, after being on the receiving end of sustained criticism from the Tory opposition, she gained renown for her frankness, both in her letter of resignation and in media interviews. I've not felt I have been as effective as I should be, or as effective as you need me to be, she wrote to Prime Minister Tony Blair. While in an interview with the BBC, she insisted that I'm not having second best in a job that's important as this. She was, however, cheered and clapped by civil servants as she left the Department of Education, and several were reported to have been in tears. So ended what the BBC called her commendably gracious resignation, a remarkable, perhaps unique instance of a politician resigning with integrity on the grounds that she felt she had not done well enough in the task she had been given. Estelle rejoined the government in 2003 as Minister for the Arts in the Department of Culture, Media and Sport. 2 years later, she was elevated to the peerage as Baroness Morris of Yardley, the constituency she represented as a Member of Parliament for 13 years, between 1992 and 2005. Estelle joined Goldsmiths' governing body, the College Council, in the same year, at the invitation of the then warden, Professor Geoffrey Crossick, quickly becoming closely involved in the business of the college as chair of the newly established External Relations Committee. After serving the statutory 6-year term as a member of council, Estelle returned as chair of council in 2012. She stepped down earlier this year on once more completing her statutory 6-year term. Estelle was born in Manchester into a political family. Before being elected to Parliament in 1963 as MP for Manchester Openshaw, her father, Charles Morris, was a post office union official who had left school at the age of 14. Educated at Rack House Primary School in Wythenshawe and Whalley Range High School, Estelle trained as a teacher at Coventry College of Education, despite failing her A-levels. According to Professor Jim Campbell, who taught her when she was training to be a teacher, the young Estelle Morris was interested in making things work more than in political ideology. And Estelle, quite rightly, believes that her experience as a teacher has made her more aware of the pressures placed on those working in schools. Elected as councillor for Warwick District Council in 1979, she was the Labour group leader on the council between 1981 and 1989. Then, in 1992, as I've mentioned, Estelle was elected MP for Birmingham Yardley with a tiny majority of only 162. As part of the Labour opposition to the government of John Major, she was briefly an opposition whip before becoming a junior opposition frontbench spokesman on education in 1995. After the general election of 1997, she became Parliamentary Under Secretary of State in the Department for Education and Employment for a year, before being appointed Minister for School Standards. Then, in 2001, as I've mentioned, Estelle became a member of Tony Blair's cabinet as Secretary of State for Education and Skills. During her time in office, she promoted a new career structure for teachers, with new arrangements for managing teachers' development. A subsequent Ofsted report on the effectiveness of workforce reform showed that in the most effective school visited, workforce reform had made a considerable difference to pupils' learning because, it went on, leaders had ensured that all their staff had clear professional status, were well trained, were deployed effectively, and were held accountable for contributing to pupils' learning and well-being. Since stepping down as MP for Birmingham Yardley on her elevation to the peerage, Estelle has maintained a close involvement in educational matters through her appointments, all in the same year, as Pro-Vice-Chancellor of the University of Sunderland, Chair of the Children's Workforce Development Council, President of the National Children's Bureau, and of course, as I've already mentioned, she also became a member of Goldsmiths College Council. In 2007, she became chair of the Institute for Effective Education at the University of York. In 2015, she agreed to head up the Birmingham Education Partnership, a school-led organisation that supports schools in the city to raise standards and make sure that all children have a good academic, social and civic education. And of course, as a hard-working peer, Estelle continues to speak on educational matters in the House of Lords. She also manages to find the time to be a trustee of various organisations, such as the Liverpool Philharmonic, the Poetry Archive, and the Sunderland Football Club Foundation, as well as being a member of the advisory board of the Science and Industry Museum in Manchester. The former Dean of the Faculty of Education at Goldsmiths, the late Professor Vic Kelly, was the author of a standard textbook, The Curriculum, Theory and Practice. Chapter 8, What the Average Politician Understands About Education, consists of a single blank page. This autumn, a Further Education Trust for Leadership blog on the women who shaped further education in the UK considered the career of a fondly remembered education secretary who has continued to contribute beyond frontline politics to conclude that, and I'm quoting, "Few education ministers or secretaries of state before or since have understood the sector so well as Estelle Morris, and perhaps none has been as willing to listen and to work closely with the teaching profession at every level of education." Given its proud history in the area of teacher education, as the Warden has mentioned, Goldsmiths is equally proud to be associated with a woman who has fought for the improvement of the British education system at every level. Chair of Council, I present to you the Right Honourable the Baroness Morris of Yardley for admission to the Honorary Fellowship of Goldsmiths College.
So by virtue of the authority vested in me, Estelle, I admit you to the Honorary Fellowship of Goldsmiths College. Thank you very much indeed. No, I've got to say something, I think. I have to rise again. See, we still haven't got this worked out, and Estelle's been doing it for years. So now I have to formally call upon Baroness Estelle Morris of Yardley to address us. Estelle, if you would. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, graduates, Dinah, Pat, friends and colleagues, I'm really conscious that I am all that is between you and the refreshment tent. So I won't be lengthy, but there are a few things I do want to say, having been given this opportunity to do so. And as you may have gathered, this is the first graduation ceremonies at which I haven't had Dinah's job. So it's a very strange feeling, but I couldn't have wished for anything more than I received my honorary fellowship on the same evening that those who have committed their lives, their careers to education are with us this evening. So first of all, Pat, thank you to you and Dinah, to the Council for agreeing to award me this fellowship. It means a great deal, more so because I've spent 12 years in association with Goldsmiths. I have very fond memories, and I will always treasure those memories and this evening as well. And I did, because having chaired these ceremonies, I worked out, I think I've probably chaired about 50 ceremonies. But having chaired about 50 ceremonies, I do just want this evening to thank Georgia Karen and Nick Holmes, who are the powers behind the organisation of the graduation ceremonies, and never get a mention because part of their job is for you to know that nothing ever goes wrong, so they're not needed. So I did today, Georgia and Nick and your teams, want to thank you for all the help you've given me as chair in the graduation ceremonies over the previous years, and to everyone, thanks very much indeed. One of the things I used to do when I was in Dinah's chair is to sit and look round, and there's this sort of dilemma. I used to think what everyone had in common in the room, and then I used to think about what everyone had as differences, because that's essentially what you've got. You've got people with different histories, different backgrounds, different presents, different futures. And yet at graduation ceremonies, it all coalesces together. There's something about a oneness of the people in the room. I suppose this evening, the thing that I share, if I may, with everyone in this room is that we're both for a while saying goodbye to Goldsmiths, and we're all people who chose to spend our careers in education. And in that way, I feel part of the gathering today, and I wanted to say just a few words about each. If I've done 50 ceremonies, I've probably awarded certificates to 50 honorary graduates. And over those years, they've been big names, famous names. We've had the good and the great. We've had artists and poets and business people and journalists. We've had actors and pop singers. And as Pat and I often reflect, in our youth, we've had people who were thought to have terrorist sympathies 40 years ago. And maybe not surprisingly, they ended up at Goldsmiths getting honorary degrees. And many of them have been household names and people that I've not met before. And they've all made speeches. And over those 50 honorary degrees, there's been a theme that actually comes through them. And it's not about how brilliant they've been or about how much they've achieved. Every one of them has chosen to mention when it went wrong, when they nearly didn't make it, and the mistakes that they made. And Alan, that's why I didn't, you said, do I mind you saying I'd failed my A-levels? And no, because it's an important part of my life and my career and everything I've ever done. And everybody chose something that had gone wrong for them, an obstacle that they had to overcome. And I think that's got a message for all of us. The good and the great and the people who we think have done well in life haven't always had it easy and haven't got there without actually overcoming obstacles. And I remember when I was a young MP in my late 30s, and I got to the House of Commons for the first time. And the people then who were a generation older than me, they were my heroes and heroines. They were people who I'd looked up to as politicians, people whose shaking their hand would have made my day as I was a youngster trying to get into politics. I remember the first few months I was there, and I've never forgotten it. All of a sudden, I was sitting at the same tea table as people who were my political heroes and heroines. I remembered thinking two things, and it was the good news and the bad news. The good news is there were people just like me. The bad news was there were people just like me. Because I'd thought somehow that those entrusted to run our country, to govern our, to govern our laws, to be leaders in our society, were somehow different than me. I thought they had some God-given talent or something about them that entrusted them to make a good job of the senior posts which they then held. And in a way, it was worrying that that wasn't the case. But in a way, it was good. They were just like us. And if you put that together with the fellowship, I think there's a message there. There's no one gifted to do the big jobs in our society. There's no one who God blessed at birth as being the people who were leaders in all our many fields that we want. There's just ordinary people who do extraordinary things. And that's something that I've learned throughout life. And you don't know if you're going to do extraordinary things. But what I do know, from the graduates who've received fellowships while I've been here, and from the politicians and excellent teachers that I've met, not one of them had it easy. Not one of them didn't experience failure. Not many of them thought that they would make the headlines or be considered to be great people. They were ordinary people who set out on a life, on a career, and ended up doing extraordinary things. I think one of the reasons they did that, if I ever, as I get a bit older, had to give a word of advice to those who are coming behind me in the careers that I chose, it would just be to seize every opportunity that's there. If you never say yes to an opportunity, you'll never get the chance to be extraordinary. And if you live to be old, don't look back and say, what would have happened if I had seized that opportunity rather than let it go by? Because I can tell you, it's easier to get older and live with having tried and not quite succeeded than it is to get older and know you never even tried. And I think that's just a trueness and a certainty about life. So all the people I've respected, all the people who I think are great people, are just people who learnt from their mistakes, worked hard and believed in themselves, and said yes to every opportunity that came along, some of which came true. And the second thing I wanted to say is those of you, all of you here today, chosen to make a career in education, you've chosen one of the most important things in our society. No one else succeeds unless you succeed as well. There are no future doctors, no future vets, no future cohesive citizens, good citizens, no future scientists, unless you get it right with the children who are in your classes. That's the importance of what you do. Some days you may wake up and think, I'm just an ordinary teacher. But you go to work and every day you do extraordinary things. not just in the things you do, but the effect that you have on children. You might remember, it's actually about 22 years ago, I looked up the date, 1986. The first teacher that went to space, if you might remember, perhaps this side of the room might remember it better, went on the space shuttle that blew up and no one returned to Earth safely. She was a teacher, and when she was asked what she did for a living, she said, "I touch the future, I teach." Never forget that. You touch all our futures because you teach. And I know that you teach and are in education at a time that's far more restricted, far more structured, far more measured than ever it was when I was at your stage in your career. It's different. And my word would be, that's true, and there's a lot of good things that have come from that. Children get a better deal because of the changes that have happened since I started to begin to teach and you're at the start of your teaching career now. But you're the generation that's not got to let the creativity slip. Don't forget, you're in the people business. You're not in the target business. You're not in the jumping hurdles business. You're not even in the certificate business. You're in the hope business. You're in the people business. You're in the laying down dreams business. And you're in the business of making sure the nation's children get as good a start of life as possible. And if ever there was an extraordinary job that we ask ordinary people to do, I reckon that is it. So congratulations to all of you. I always feel, as I do at school prize givings, as well as things like this, I go away from evenings like this feeling more optimistic about all our futures, because I see whose hands our futures are in. And I think that is a cause for great optimism. So can I again thank the Council for awarding me this degree, and can I also thank the college for having given me the privilege over the last 12 years of working with you and working by you. It is a memory I will never forget, and has been very important in what I choose to do in the future. Thank you, and all the best.
Well, I feel quite teary, I have to say, Estelle, after that. Absolutely wonderful. And I would say, if there's one thing that we all have in common in this room, it's our absolute admiration, respect, and certainly as far as this college is concerned, love for you and for everything that you have done in terms of contributing to making Goldsmiths the place it is. I know that certainly in my life you have utterly inspired me, and I imagine today we can safely say that a whole new cohort of leaders have been inspired by Estelle, by her work, and by that wonderful speech. And if anybody ever lives up to what I was saying earlier on, which is not just for self, but for all, this woman embodies that, absolutely. So can you join with me again? Thank you so much. Oh, and after a wonderful speech from Estelle and from our student orator, I just feel so inspired. So my aspiration at the start of the evening was, how good is it to come together as a community on a cold night in troubled times to celebrate you and all your achievements, and I think we have succeeded. So I want to wish all of you all the luck in the world. Go forth, be happy, be successful, inspire, do everything that Estelle was talking about, reach out, be a global citizen, and most of all, just have the greatest success, enjoy yourselves, and take that gold to the world, the gold of Goldsmiths in your soul. Please do. So can I just ask you all to clap, everybody. Let's all clap each other. I now formally that the ceremony for the presentation of graduates and awarding the honorary fellowship to our beloved Baroness Estelle Morris of Yardley. How happy am I you with the first honour I dealt with, honestly. We now close, and can you please stand for the procession, and then I think we're wafted off for drinks and nice things and celebration. Thank you.